Well, I sat down today for a coffee and some chunky digestives, and I thought, well, let's have a bit of a chuckle. Let's have a look at the Miles Johnston channel. Always good for a chuckle. Now, I found this video, and it was a tribute to Art Bell, who was the guy on Coast to Coast AM, I think it was. It used to do the UFO and paranormal program, and he's recently dropped off the perch. So R.I.P. Art Bell. I listened to some of his stuff, and I think I can't remember whether he gave the impression that he believed any of it or not, to be perfectly honest. But I have heard the name Art Bell, and I have listened to a couple of those Coast to Coast programs. I believe he was doing it for many years, maybe even decades. So what I would have heard of his stuff would have been probably a fraction of a percent, a very small fraction of a percent, but of 1%. But there you go. Yeah, the video was called a tribute to Art Bell, and it was an hour and something long. And poor old Art probably got about 60 seconds worth of mention in the whole hour, and the rest of it was John Lear prattling on about the usual rubbish that John Lear prattles on about 3 billion people. It's gone up. I think the last time it was only 250 million, but now it's 3 billion people living on the moon, and absolute rubbish. You know that the moon is a hologram, and there's a guy with a telescope that actually can look through this hologram and show us all the structures, you know, of on the moon's surface, the actual constructed structures, synthetic structures. And this was just beyond drivel, really. And there was another guy on there called Duncan the Grid Keeper, and I'd never heard of this Grid Keeper guy. Miles obviously knew him, and looking at the comments, one or two of the other people on there had heard of him as well. And he's got some sort of magic crystals, this Grid Keeper, and he tells us that he can't tell us anything about these magic crystals at the moment. They're quartz, and he's upset the Pentagon. People at the Pentagon are upset with him because he's got this super duper crystal, and he can't tell us anything about it until June, because the people in the Pentagon are really pissed off. And I thought, well, I wonder why they would be, the people in the Pentagon would be any less pissed off in June when he talks about these magic crystals. Now, he also related the story that I'd heard from Tony Topping about some people going to Peasmore and finding the entrance to this secret. I can't even say it. This deep breath. This secret base under Peasmore, and I think in a previous video I related that I'd heard Tony Topping, or I said that I'd heard Tony Topping relating the story. Some people, and I thought that Tony Topping was one of the people that was actually there. You know, they found the entrance, and the TR-3B, you know, the triangular-shaped aircraft, turned up as if to say, well done, I think Tony Topping said, you know, well done for finding the entrance. It was as if to say that. But there's no pictures of the TR-3B, there's no pictures of the entrance, there's no pictures of any cars parked around the entrance, or, you know, bicycles, or footprints, you know, people walking to work to the secret base, to this entrance. There's no pictures or video footage of any of this. There's no pictures of the entrance, you know. Did I say that? I probably did, didn't I? There's no pictures of the entrance itself. So, yes, I suspect this Grid Keeper is just another run-of-the-mill bases channel, Miles Johnston channel nutter, in the same sort of basket as everybody else that appears on that channel, but still. It's funny nevertheless. I was listening to this guy and I thought, well, this guy sounds like a teenager to me, but apparently he'd just been over to America on holiday, and he'd seen John Lear, and John Lear's telescope had been out of action for 6 years, and the Grid Keeper managed to fix it in 10 seconds. So there you go. Anyway, John Lear. I think that's enough of the grid, the grid keeper. Duncan the grid keeper, with his magic crystals. Back to John Lear. John Lear says, right now we've got some. He's got some pictures of some structures on the moon that he got from this other channel called Bruce Sees All. So, okay, well, let's have a look at this. And I had a look at the picture that John Lear was holding up to the camera. I honestly couldn't see any structures there. And I then went to Bruce's channel, and Bruce Sees All channel, and had a look at what Bruce had on there. And I found it completely unconvincing, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, a couple of clips to follow. I think the first one will be John Lear. I might throw in a bit of the grid keeper. I don't know why, but I might. And then the last clip will be a clip from the Bruce Sees All channel. Okay, I don't know why, but I'm going to put a bit of the grid keeper on here. Now this is Duncan the grid keeper, who sounds like a spotty oik that spent most of his life playing games on the internet in the basement or in his bedroom.
Come back from John, I've probably learned more about the world in the last 8 months than I have in the last 10 years. Now you're going to ask me what I've learned.
Well, what have you learned? What have you learned?
Good heavens, a sensible question from Miles Johnston. Who would have believed that?
I'll tell you, you'll have to do another interview, and I'll tell you what I've learned, probably around June or July, because remember you read out that thing I talked about, the crystals, Miles.
Yeah, about the crystals.
That needs to come back out in around June, and I'm going to start saying a lot of things.
Well, what do you think about that, John Lear? About crystals and that energy stuff?
Well, the crystals I'm talking about, they're not standard crystals. They're not shops you go into a shop and, well, they are, but it's what's in them. There's something in them that no one in the world has seen before. It's a game changer.
Wow, a game changer. I can hardly wait.
But what did you discuss when you were with John? And you I mean, I know John Ralston got John's...
Actually, I've just realised I haven't taken the bass out of this, so it might not come out terribly well. The grid keeper will come out okay because he's got a sort of high-pitched kid sort of voice. But let's have a look. Lear and Johnson probably be a bit muffled.
Scope to work. What about now?
That's a bit better. That might be a little bit kinder to the microphone on the camera.
Yeah, in the matter of about 10 seconds, which was quite clever. Is your telescope okay, John?
It's fantastic. I can't believe, I've been an operative for about 6 years, and you guys came in and fixed it in about 10 seconds. It was really...
That gives an indication of how good John Lear's understanding of things technical are. I think, he's got a telescope there. It hasn't been working for 6 years. They come in and fix it in 10 seconds. What could have been wrong with it? If he was incapable of repairing it, it gives a good indication of how much John Lear understands about technology.
Really nice.
Marcel helped with that. He was really good. Yeah. But one of the most interesting things, Miles, was looking through John's pictures on his wall.
Well, I noticed your wall has changed, John.
Yeah, so he's going to go on to say that he saw these pictures of the lunar surface with structures on the moon. So I'll just go forward a bit without pausing it, mainly because it's getting late and I can't be bothered. Oh, I can't see it either. It's a bit further on. That's the squeaking kid in the basement again, the grid keeper. Dear me, why does Miles Johnston bother with these bloody lunatics? But of course it's all Google ad money, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Okay, let's
John Lear just coming up. He's now got some exciting
So now John Lear's now going to show us the photographs of the structures on the lunar surface that he got from the Bruce Sees All channel.
stuff about to show us, and we're going to see that now. If you can just cut these. There it is. Okay, John, we can see that. Tell us.
John Lear's looking really, yeah. I don't think he's going to be making too many videos.
What's going on? So let's get John. Oh. I didn't hear that, and you didn't hear. Okay. Could you show that again?
8 o'clock position. This is kind of creepy here. This was,
Okay, so what is this supposed to be exactly? I mean, that looks a bit like a square. Maybe that's what he's talking about. That looks a little artificial. But it's hardly a, I don't know, an aerial view of a city, is it? I mean, that could be anything. I mean, that that could just be could be a shadow, because that's a bit of a peak in the landscape. I don't think there's anything there at all.
Can't see this, Duncan, but they're looking at a picture of the moon.
I can see it.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Right.
Got your computer muted.
It'll be a couple of seconds later. Okay.
that's down result. And that was taken with the lunar orbiter pictures, and that's obviously a huge...
Oh, okay. So these were taken with the lunar orbiter. These are lunar orbiter pictures, not pictures from Bruce Sees All's telescope. So we'll go over to Bruce Sees All, the Bruce Sees All channel, and have a look at the images on that. Now, I have recorded that clip already, and I mentioned on that clip that when he shows the structures, they're not from his telescope, and I've said, well, he doesn't say where he gets those from. I didn't watch all of the Bruce video, to be honest. He may well have said that that image he's shown is from the lunar orbiter. Whether it's true or not, of course, is a completely different matter. But anyway, let's go to the next clip. Okay, this is from the Bruce Sees All channel, and this is called Analysing Constructed Objects on the Lunar Surface. This should be fun. Yeah, a little bit more of that, can we? A little bit more of that. Yeah, okay. Oops.
I haven't shown you guys the tunnels crossing paths. I haven't shown you guys.
Now, the interesting thing is, he says he hasn't shown us, he's showing us a bit of the lunar surface there with his new telescope, his 14-inch telescope that people have donated him, or donated the money for him to go and buy. And he goes from the pictures of the... Let's just go back a bit on this. From the pictures of the lunar surface he's taken with his new telescope... I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing any buildings. It doesn't look like I'm looking down on a city, a town, or even a hut.
We're going to take a look at sinus iridium again. I haven't shown you guys the tunnels crossing paths. I haven't shown you guys the class structure. Or
now this is not from his telescope, is it? I mean, this looks like it might have been, might be some sort of construction. You know, some straight edges there. Some straight edges here, maybe, but this could be anything. This could be, you know, this could be Photoshop. It could be anything. It's not from his telescope, is it? He's cut away from his view through the telescope.
Colored different objects on top of the platformed objects which form a sinus iridium mountain. Here, we're going to see, look to the right, see to the left. I have this part here. For the longest time, I thought it was sinus iridium. But it's not. It's inside of a crater, but it is very close to Oceanus Procellarum, the one that's on the left. And on the right, we can see sinus iridium. And now we're going to look into some details. Let your eyes adjust. It's always that problem. And to the right, right now, I'm going to show you those tunnels, the tunnel entrance right there.
I don't see a tunnel entrance, do you?
It's longing north and south. And look at these colored structuring objects. Over top, they're overlaid. Often I thought it was some kind of a dirt or some kind of a thrown, like something was thrown there. But the closer you get, you can see that, yeah, they really are constructed objects on the lunar surface.
And there's the view through his telescope again. So I don't know where he got those other images from. He doesn't tell us where he got the other images from, but they're not from his telescope, are they? They could be anywhere. Some spotty oik could have made them up on his computer in his bedroom. So this is unconvincing, you know, and I'm being kind. That's enough of that. I don't think I can stomach any more of that. So there we go. I just thought that was quite funny that Miles Johnston decided to do a tribute to Art Bell, and Art Bell barely got a mention in this hour-long tribute, and instead we got all this rubbish from John Lear and from the Grid Keeper with his secret crystals. And he went out and found the entrance to Peasmore. And of course, he has no evidence whatsoever to show us the entrance to Peasmore. I wish, there'd be some integrity really with this UFO ET stuff. You know, some people that would seriously look into it, rather than airing all this absolute bloody rubbish about bases on the moon, structures on the moon. Secret bases under the ground, and in the UK and in the United States, it really is offensive rubbish. Okay, with that, I think I'll leave you to it. Perhaps I'll catch you again.